Trade Union COSATU has come out guns blazing, reiterating calls for labour brokering to be banned outright, the youth employment tax incentive to be scrapped and nationalisation be made a reality. Now, the latest call comes as the globe commemorated the International Day for Decent Work. Well, General Secretary of COSATU, Zwelithini Vavi, joins me now. Mr. Vavi, thanks indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having us.
I want to get into those issues in a moment, but first, let me ask you your view on COSATU's strength at the moment. Now, we had the President, Stu Dlamini, yesterday saying that government has miscalculated the strength of the country's largest trade federation union. Truth is, Mr. Vavi, we haven't seen the type of crowd numbers that we were used to when it comes to COSATU in past demonstrations. Does that not demonstrate that we're not as strong as COSATU used to be?
Well, COSATU's 2.2 million membership is still intact, is still there. We're going to this, we're organizing a mid-term review called the Central Committee starting on the 10th of November. We will be reporting that despite all the challenges, COSATU have seen a slight growth in membership, which means that the base is there to be able to launch campaign and to get COSATU back into the footing of being a campaigning, militant organization. Of course, the past 18 months or so have not been good. In fact, there have been in the West, in the history of the Federation, there has been leadership at there have been divisions rather, at the leadership level. And those leadership have sort of threatened even the very existence of the Federation as a united force. And we're working on those issues. And we're convening a special Central Executive Committee on Tuesday to receive the report of the ANC task team that have been doing work behind the scenes. And we hope that we can go to that Central Committee as a united leadership to present a way forward about how we can best cement the whatever cracks that have emerged to ensure that we go back to being a campaigning, fighting organization that South Africa knows us to be.
It's interesting you should say that. What do you say to those that say they miss your frank take on what's going wrong with government mechanisms and structures and your willingness to sometimes speak truth to power? Is that really gone, or is that a perception?
It's a perception, because I think that it's more like an exposure in my view. And it have to do with whether people are at the same place, whether what we say elsewhere gets the same coverage that it used to get from all the media in South Africa, which then reflects back in bed to the Federation. Let me tell you this. People do not take seriously a divided organization. That's a central message that comes out of this period. And that's why we are so desperate to put it behind us. But once everybody have a sense that when we speak on behalf of the collective as a whole, and that there is no chance of the same being contradicted by someone else within the Federation, then we would have then moved ahead to really deal with the ugly past, or at least the past 2 years or so. Have not been a good 2 years in the history of the Federation, but we will come around.
All right,
we'll come around. So the president of COSATU was dead right to say the will on the part of the membership is absolutely in place to campaign, to confront issues and the challenges of the time, and that our divisions must not be miscalculated as meaning that we do no longer have the capacity to mobilize workers. Spot on. That's the sentiment we have moving forward.
And some of those issues, the youth employment tax incentive. Now, ever since this has been brought up, even in the shape of a youth wage subsidy, as it was called, it seemed to have moved, in terms of implementation, against your favor. What makes you think you will turn that around?
A number of things, not just the youth wage subsidy or the employment tax incentive scheme have gone against our will. But the very economic policies that are enshrined in the NDP, the e-tolls, and quite a number of other policies have gone against the will of the organized section of the working class. So that's precisely what we must be responding to when we meet in the Central Committee. It can't go on that it becomes business as usual, that government can just ignore the voice of workers, taking advantage of the fact that we are divided, we have too much focus on internal issues and have less focus on external issues that matters to our members most.
Fair enough. I'm going to have to leave it there close to the hour. Zwelinzima Vavu, thanks very much indeed for coming through.
Thank you very much, sir.